For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Heavy overnight strikes in the south of Gaza hit residential areas from Rafah to Khan Yunis, where the Al Nasser hospital is under threat of another attack. Gaza's health ministry says some 160 people were killed in the last 24 hours. Video online from the Quds News Network shows people digging through rubble, pulling out an injured child and dead adult bodies. Meanwhile, medicine is en route to Gaza after Qatar and France mediated a deal between Israel and Hamas Tuesday. It will supply both hostages held by Hamas and Palestinians in Gaza. Comes more than 100 days into a conflict that shows no sign of ending. A senior Hamas official said today for each box of medicine provided to hostages, 1,000 boxes would be sent for use by Palestinian civilians. Speaking from Davos in Switzerland, where corporate and world leaders are gathering for the World Economic Forum, Qatari foreign minister warned the impacts of Israel's war in Gaza will create long-term instability. He criticized Israeli defense minister's rejection of a ceasefire. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani also urged a two-state solution.
We cannot have two-state solution without ending the Palestinian division. We cannot have a two-state solution without having a government and politicians in Israel who believes in coexisting together side by side peacefully. And we cannot have all this ongoing without ending this war. And I believe that the numbers that we are seeing, the images that we are watching will not have an impact just on the short term. It will have an impact on the short, medium, and long term. And the longer-term impact will be more dangerous for all of us.
He suggested defusing the war would also ease wider tensions like those in the Red Sea. Gaza's health ministry says Palestinian death toll from the war has surpassed 24,000. This as the UK's Guardian is reporting famine is already hitting Gaza, with reports of children dying due to lack of food and heat. About 150 Mennonites rallied at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda singing for a ceasefire in Gaza Tuesday. Video shows some arrested and taken away in handcuffs. In Austria, dozens of Jewish protesters with "Not in Our Name, Vienna" disrupted parliament, calling for a ceasefire. In the U.S. Senate, independent Bernie Sanders of Vermont presented a measure calling for an investigation into human rights violations by Israel. The Biden administration strongly opposed the resolution, which failed. Christopher Martinez reports.
Established over 50 years ago, not a new idea.
The measure calls for the State Department to provide any credible information on potential human rights violations by Israel in Gaza. Sanders says the measure is needed because of the scale of destruction in Gaza, the indiscriminate nature of the military campaign, and the humanitarian catastrophe that's taking place.
And while there is no question in my mind that Israel has the right to defend itself, Israel does not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people, and tragically, that is what we are seeing right now.
There's also the issue of the United States' role as a major arms supplier to Israel.
But this is a tragedy in which we, the United States of America, are complicit.
But the Biden administration opposes the measure, and on the Senate floor, Democrat Ben Cardin of Maryland spoke in opposition.
Its passage would be a gift to Hamas.
In the final vote, the resolution failed, with 72 no votes and only 11 in support. Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Pakistan recalled its ambassador to Tehran today after Iran launched airstrikes on Pakistan that it claimed targeted bases for a militant Sunni separatist group. Islamabad denounced the attacks as a blatant violation of its airspace and said the strikes killed 2 children. This follows Iran's attack on Iraq against what it says is an Israeli spy location. In the U.S., the power of the federal government to regulate goes before the Supreme Court today. 2 cases from New Jersey and Rhode Island by commercial fishermen challenge a fee for observers on deck to ensure they're meeting regulations. It could achieve a long-sought goal of businesses and conservative interests to limit government regulation. Lawyers for the fishermen are asking the justices to overturn a 40-year-old decision that's among the most frequently cited high court cases in support of regulatory power, including on the environment, public health, and workplace safety. The Biden administration has defended rulings that uphold the fees. At least 2 Supreme Court justices have written critically about the 40-year precedent called the Chevron deference. That's Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.